Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock on a Monday and it's time for a 5x5. Now, I am still over here in LA, as you can tell. I'm still in the hotel room and I'm going to be here for a few days. Normal service will be resumed by next weekend, I promise. However, while we're waiting for that normal service to be resumed, I didn't want you guys to be without videos, which is why I'm filming some of the videos from over here in America. I did batch a whole bunch of them, but I ended up being here a bit longer than I thought I would. Didn't want you guys to not have videos, which is why I'm filming them over here. And today this is a 5x5. Now, if you've never seen a 5x5 before, the idea is very simple. I spend 5 minutes talking about subjects related to magic. I spend 5 minutes, there's 5 subjects, 25 minutes in total. It's always quick, it's always snappy, you never know what you're gonna get. Now, recently we've been doing very specific 5x5s on very specific subjects like performer highlight videos and 5 slides that you need to have. And today I wanted to use this opportunity to talk to you about SEO, about marketing. Now, I don't spend much time talking about marketing on this channel. And the reason is that's what the Netrix is for. So on the Netrix, on the silver level, I spend a lot of time talking about marketing. When I first started Magic TV, I did have like a marketing Mondays, and it was just something that not a lot of people were interested in. So it wasn't anything that I decided to carry on doing on a regular basis. But I have had a lot of people talk to me recently about SEO. A lot of people who are wanting to become professional magicians, or maybe they're already magicians and they want to get more gigs. They've heard about this magical SEO term and they don't know what it is, and they want to know. And so I thought I'd do this video. This channel's all about giving people the information that they want. I've had so many questions on this subject. That's what I'm going to talk about today. Kind of like a beginner's guide to magicians for SEO. Now, very briefly, before I give you my 5 points, SEO stands for search engine optimization. And the process of SEO is basically making a website rank so that when somebody searches for a magician in your area, for example, you show up. That's basically what SEO is. There's really 2 ways to get noticed on the internet when you have a website. There's 2 ways. The first way is PPC, which stands for pay-per-click, and you've probably heard of Google AdWords. That's when you pay money for an advert to be shown, and when people click on the advert, you pay for that advert, and you bid with various different companies to be the person that shows up above everyone else. Now, that can become quite expensive. The second way is SEO. That's when you organically show up higher up on the listings. Now, PPC can be very expensive when you first become a professional magician. You don't want to be spending a fortune on ads or online ads. And also the other thing about PPC is unless you know what you're doing, you can throw a lot of money down the drain. So I always kind of suggest to people that the best way to do it is SEO, because the bottom line is you want to be on page 1 of Google, especially for your area. You want to be on page 1 of Google. So if somebody searches, for example, I want a magician in blah, blah, blah area, you want to be the person that shows up. Because honestly, if you're on page 2 or page 3 or page 4, whatever, it's not really that big a deal. It's not really. Think about it. Whenever you search for something, whenever you search for anything at all, how often do you go onto page 2? You probably don't. In all honesty, you probably end up just looking for the results on page 1. You might look at the sponsored ad at the top. When you see sponsored ad, those are the people that have paid with PPC. You might see some of the organic listings a little bit further down, but generally as a rule, you're going to be looking on page 1. So if you're on page 2, it's not really that great. So the goal for any business owner in any industry that gets a percentage of their leads or their inquiries online is to show up on page 1. Now, this is going to be a very basic guide to SEO. There's an awful lot more than you can do than this. And I have got videos in the Netrix that cover this in more detail. And I might do a follow-up video at some point on the down the line. But these are 5 things that you can do right now that will have a positive impact on your SEO. I've made some notes down here. I've tried to be as organized as I can about this. I've made some notes. These are 5 things that you can do if you want to show up on page 1 of Google organically. Now, I will tell you that the best way to do this is to show up with an online ad and also show up organically. So, be organically on page 1 of Google and also have a solid PPC campaign that shows you as a sponsored ad as well. But that's a video for another time. Right now, these are 5 things that you can do immediately to have a positive impact on your SEO. Let's call it a beginner's guide to SEO for magicians. Okay, so if I keep looking down here, I'm apologizing now. I'm looking at the notes that I've made on my laptop. As I say, I wasn't planning on doing a video but like this over here, but it was something that I thought, that people would find useful. So the first point I've got here is keyword research. Before you do anything, you need to understand keyword research. And what I've written down here is which keywords are used in your niche. And you want to be very, very specific. When I talk about a niche, I'm talking about the thing that you do. So for example, you could just say magician, but that's quite a generalized term. Even though it is a niche area, it's quite a generalized term. Realistically, you want to niche it down even further. Like, do you focus on wedding magic or corporate magic, or you're a kids entertainer or a family entertainer? You want to kind of really niche it down, but you need to figure out what keywords are used in your niche. And I've also put down here, you want to think about what customers are looking for, your specific customers. Now in marketing, there's this thing called a customer avatar. And basically a customer avatar is your ideal customer, the person who you would like to have as a customer. You need to think about what your customer avatar is. And that will be changing for each individual magician, depending on what area you perform in, what type of magic do you do? Do you do stage shows or close-up, mix and mingle, strolling, whatever it is, you need to think about what your customer avatar is. And then you need to think about what your customers, what that perfect customer is searching for, because realistically, that's what you need to show up as. There's no point showing up on page 1 of Google for a children's entertainer if you're a corporate magician, right? Now, I've got some notes here. The first thing I've put is use Google's keyword planner. So there's lots of free tools that allow you to work out what your keywords are within your business. But a really good one is the Google keyword planner. And I've said down here, what you want to do is enter your niche and get keywords, and then narrow those keywords down, right? So you want to think about, so you might start this process. What do you do? Well, you're a wedding magician, and I'm a wedding magician based in Birmingham in the UK. So you might want to then type in wedding magician in Birmingham, and you'll see all these different things that show up. And I've actually put down here, very important, if you want to make yourself out to become an expert in your area, which is ultimately what SEO is about. It's about showing up on page 1 of Google and also putting yourself across as an expert, because people will hire you or book you if you're an expert in that particular industry, right? So I've said, if you want to become an authority and you want to drive traffic to your site, you need to focus on question-related keywords. So, for example, a question-related keyword or a key phrase is, what type of entertainment is best for my wedding? What entertainment would work for a wedding breakfast? Why would I need a magician for your wedding? All stuff like that. But this is a process that you don't want to rush. Keyword research is something that's very important. And within my companies, now I outsource this now, and we'll talk about that later on. But I outsource this now, but we've got hundreds of keywords for each company that we constantly are tracking to see where we appear. What position do we appear on Google for this phrase? What position do we appear on Google for that phrase? What position do you appear on Google for the other phrase? And what you want to do is you want to need to think about all of your phrases, because you want to come across as an authority. There's 2 points to do this. As I said, first is you want to come across as an authority, and 2, you want to drive traffic to your site, right? And it all begins with doing that research into your keywords. So this is an ongoing activity, but when you first do it, really seriously think about everything when it comes to this activity. So that's point number 1, do your keyword research. Okay, so point number 2 is content marketing. One way to organically lift your website up on the rankings is by constantly producing content. Now, this is going to be really basic beginner. I'm not going to get into this in any detail right now. But what you need to understand is Google are always trying to push. Think about who Google's customers are. Google's customers are the people that use Google, right? And Google want to give the people that use Google the correct information. Okay, that's very, very important to them. Because if you were somebody who used Google for everything, and every single time you did a search, the stuff that you had back from Google was completely inappropriate and didn't work at all, you'd probably go to another search engine, right? And there's lots of other search engines out there. And Google know that they need to give people the correct information when they search for it, right? So because of that, Google are constantly indexing sites and are constantly looking all over the internet to try and figure out what the best result is to show people. And that's kind of how you move up the rankings, right? So Google are constantly looking for websites, called indexing, but Google are constantly looking at various different websites and looking for the ones that are providing the information that that their customers are looking for. And content marketing is a fantastic way of showing Google that your website is relevant to the people that are searching for what you do. Right, it's a fantastic way. What you want to do, because what I'm talking about by content, by the way, I'm talking about blogs and I'm talking about updating various different pages of your website. But a great way to do it is blogs and writing blogs about particular subjects, right? That's a fantastic way to do it, because if you're constantly updating your website, when Google is searching all over the internet and looking at everybody's websites, they're going to go, well, that website constantly gets updated with questions that are related to what people are searching for. We need to show that website through to more people, right? Think about a website that, and I've seen this, I've seen magicians do this, big name magicians that do this. I'm sure you've seen it as well, where you see a magician's website and they've got a blog, and the last blog that was written was like 12 months ago, and the blog title was "I'm back," and it says under the blog, "Sorry, I've not been posting on this blog for a while. I got really busy. However, I now plan on blogging every single week." And that was the last blog, and before that it was like 2 years before. Forget about Google for a minute. Think about somebody finding that website. Okay, think about somebody finding that website and going, right, I'm going to look to see if you're the right person for my wedding or whatever it may be. Let me have a look at the blog. And then you realize that it's not been updated at all. You start to question whether this is the right person to book for your wedding, right? Because although the photos may look good and the videos may look good and this may look good and that may look good, you're kind of still thinking, well, you know what, they can't even be bothered to update their blog. And, you know, I've studied under the Content Marketing Association, and the Content Marketing Association have this concept called 0 point, which basically says that most people that are searching and that find your website, there are already a good chance by the time they inquire with you that they're going to book with you. Because the act of them putting an inquiry in shows that they've done some research into you. Because that's what people do. When they search for a wedding magician, for example, and they find lots of different websites, when they find your website, they're going to do some research into you. They're going to look at your blog. They're going to look at your reviews. They might Google you online and see what shows up, right? So you want to make sure your digital footprint is as strong as it can be. And the one way to do that is to make sure that you're constantly putting more blogs up there. And the other thing is, what have I wrote down here? Multiple pages on the same topic expressed in different ways. Oh yeah, okay. So you can write the same information 3 or 4 different ways. If you want to talk about, wedding magic, it could be 10 ways that a wedding magician is great for your 10 reasons why a magician should be hired for your wedding. Or you could have a case study on there about a previous bride and how amazing they said you were. Whatever, there's lots of different ways of doing it, but the important thing is the content must be evergreen. Now, what I mean by evergreen, basically, when something's evergreen, it means that that content could be viewed in 5 years' time, and it would be as relevant in 5 years' time as it is right now. So, for example, if I put a blog up going, "Hey, Ryland is performing next week at House of Secrets, come along and watch," that's not evergreen, because as soon as that appearance at the House of Secrets is gone, nobody cares about that blog anymore, right? But if I write a blog about, "Hey, Ryland Petty is performing his show at the House of Secrets, this is why his show is amazing," that's going to be evergreen, right? I could share that in the future. And it's really important that you do, because one of the things that I try to do within my business is if I've written a blog, I'll share that blog over and over again, because what tends to happen when people write a blog is they share it once. They'll probably put it on Facebook. Maybe they'll email it out to their mailing list. Maybe, probably not. Maybe they'll put it on LinkedIn or something, and then that's it. It's done. And then the blog's written, and they move on to another blog and another blog. But if the information in that blog is as sound in 2 years' time as it is now, you can constantly share it out again and again, because on average, I think 0.5% of people, if that follow you will see that blog. Most people won't see it. So you can post it again and again and again, and as new people find you, it's information that's relevant to them, because always people are looking for entertainment, and they're always finding you all the time. So if it's a good blog, you can constantly post it again and again, and there's schedule tools that allow you to do that, which we can get onto in another video. But the point that I'm trying to make here is make sure that you're constantly producing content. That's going to help with your SEO, constantly writing blogs, constantly updating your website, and make sure that information is evergreen and it links to your keywords. Use the keywords to write the blogs and make sure it fits within your niche. Again, there's no point in a corporate magician writing a blog about kids' entertainment. Okay, so the third point here is on-page SEO. Now, this is the bit that you're going to need to maybe, up until this point, you haven't needed any special skills, right? You know, it's very easy to learn how to use Google's keyword research tool. It's very easy to write a blog. It's very easy to write copy for your website. But this bit, you're going to need to learn how to use your website tool. Now, it depends. I don't know how your website could be GoDaddy. It could be Wix. It could be, WordPress. There's a million different things that people use to develop their website. But this is going to require some knowledge of web design, which you can get online. Normally you use something like GoDaddy, for example. They're going to have lots of help pages. You can learn it yourself, or you can get somebody to help you. But this is called on-page SEO, and it's just as important as everything else. And I've got some notes here. Great content means nothing if you don't, it won't work if there's problems with how you structure your website. You need to optimize all of your pages for their keywords. You should include your site's suggested terms and phrases in your content. Now, what I mean by that is when you're writing your content, so you're writing your page on wedding magic, you're writing your blog, you're writing this, you're writing that, you need to think about those keywords that you did research on. So for example, if one of your keywords is wedding entertainment, for example, you want to make sure that that's within the copy on the blog or on the page that you're writing for your website. Now, you don't want to overuse it because Google will penalize you for that as well. You don't want to write wedding magician over and over again, because Google are smart. They will realize that you're doing that to try and trick the algorithm, and that's not going to work. So what you want to do is you want to think about when you're writing that content, and you want to write it organically, making sure that it ties into all your key phrases. Doing so makes your article more topical and relevant to your keyword. And this is the important point. After publishing the content, you must ensure that Google crawls and indexes your site. In this case, run a technical SEO audit. You may need help with this. So what you want to do is when you've put all your website together and you've put all your copy together, you want to make sure that Google crawls and indexes your site. So what happens is constantly, and I know that there's going to be people watching this that are SEO experts, and they're going to go, oh, you didn't go enough into depth with this or that. This is a beginner's guide, a beginner's guide to SEO. But what you need to do is when you publish a new page on your website, it's going to get indexed by Google. You want to make sure that they index that correctly, else it's not going to do anything to your SEO. So that's when you run an SEO audit. And you want to be doing this on a regular basis as well. Now, I have a company that I outsource that to now. In the olden days, I did it myself, or we did it in-house in our team, but now we outsource it. So I'll get to that a little bit later on. But if you don't know how to do it, it's something that's worth getting help with. But what you want to do, ultimately, the point I'm trying to make in this section is that when you have your website and you've published new content, make sure that that content is being indexed properly by Google and it's being picked up on. It's called on-page SEO, and it's very important. Okay, the next thing that I want to talk about, and this is vitally important as well when it comes to SEO, is I'm going to be talking about link building. Now, link building is massive. It's so important. What I wrote here, you'll reach a point trying to rank for keywords that you won't be able to rank for as high as you want to, because it's going to be dominated by reputable and authoritative websites on the subject. So, for example, if you're looking for wedding entertainment, there's a million huge agencies out there that are also trying to show up on page 1 of Google for wedding entertainment, which is why you want to niche it down. So, a lot of the time, if you're a smaller business, if you're a smaller magician, you have a lot of advantages over the big boys, because you might only want wedding magic in Wolverhampton, for example. Well, suddenly that's much smaller niche to be able to get on page one for than wedding entertainment in general, right? A lot of the big companies, they're looking to appear on page one for something like wedding entertainment and event planning and so on and so forth. But there's going to be search terms that you want to rank for, that you think that it's important for your business or your magic company to rank for, and you're not going to be able to because there's other big companies out there that are ranking. It doesn't matter how much content you produce, it doesn't matter how many audits you do on your website, it doesn't matter how much you do, you're never going to be able to do it. And I've put here, in this case, you won't outrank them by sheer content alone. You need help from do follow links from authoritative sites. So what's that? Well, a do follow link helps pass authority from one site to another. So if you get a backlink from a reputable site, its reputation trickles down to your website, making it more authoritative than before. Again, this is all about Google looking at your website and going, you are an authority in this area. We are definitely going to rank you higher because you know what you're talking about, right? Which is why we're constantly producing content and so on and so forth. Now, the big misconception about this is that you can do this just by sharing a link with somebody. So for example, you go to a wedding and you meet the wedding photographer and you say, hey, I really like your work. Would you put a link on your page for me? And I'll put a link back to you. And you share a link to you share a link to them and they share a link to you. That's a reciprocal link. That doesn't do anything. I mean, doesn't do anything from an SEO point of view. It might build a relationship up with that supplier, which is something that you might want to do, but it doesn't have anything to do with improving your SEO or getting your SEO better. What you want to do is you want to have a do follow link, and there's do and don't follow links. You want to have a do follow link. So in other words, when somebody clicks the link, they're going to go through to your website, and dumbing this right down, but you want to have a do follow link that goes to your website, and it is one way. And the higher, the bigger the website, the more authoritative the website, the better it is. Because then if you've got a really authoritative website, like the BBC or something, putting a link back through to your website, it's going to massively help. To help you identify, I put here, to help you identify website authority, you can use a domain rating website, which will help you identify whether a website is good or not. Because to be honest, 2 points on this. If you're getting a do follow link, it has to be, because Google is smart, they'll know this. If you're getting a do follow link, it has to be within the area in which you're competing. So for example, a plumber can't send you a do follow link. Which is why you'll get penalized. You know, I see so many things on Fiverr where it's like, hey, get 5,000 inbound links to your website immediately. That'll do more harm than good, because none of those have anything to do with the industry that you're working in. Now, back in the day, that used to work. Back in the day, posting on the homepage all the different areas in which you work used to work. These days it doesn't work, right? So you need to do follow link from an authoritative website. You check the website to see it's authoritative. You make sure it's within this, you know, it's kind of got something to do with what you do, and you get a link from them, and that'll massively help. Now, there's a few different ways of doing that, and I'm going to give you 3. We could make an entire video about how to get links, inbound links from authoritative websites, but I'm going to give you 3 right now that I think that you could probably do now for free that won't cost you anything. The first is a guest blogging. So you can guest blog. What's a guest blog? Well, basically, it's you writing a blog for somebody else. And there's actually websites out there which will help you connect with other businesses, and you can write blogs for them. And what you can do, because a lot of big companies, you know, they will take blogs from other people and they'll publish it, and then in that blog you have a link back through to your website. That's a great way to do it, because, you know, the only thing it's costing you is time. It's not costing you anything else. It's costing you the time to write the blog, right? But again, if you're going to do that, you want to check the authoritativeness of the website in which you're wanting to put the blog on, and that it's relevant to the area in which you perform in, right? Or the area in which you compete in. But you can do a guest blog, and you can publish it on their site, and within that guest blog there is a link back to your website. Boom, job done. That's one way of doing it. That's a great way of doing it. And you can go online, if you search guest blogging opportunities or guest blogging, you can find websites that will connect different companies up through guest blogging, and you can just, you know, spend the afternoon writing a blog, and that's one way of doing it. The second way of doing it is charity gigs. This is something I've never heard anyone talk about before, but it's something I've done an awful lot. If a charity contacts you and they say they've got no money at all, and they want you to come along and do close-up magic at their next annual dinner, you could turn around to them and you could say, if they're a big charity, like a huge charity, they've probably got a big website and it's probably very highly authoritative. If you could turn around to them and say, look, I'll come along, I'll do close-up magic for your event. I'm just going to charge you expenses and a meal, but I want, within 48 hours of me doing the event, and you get this in contract in writing, within 48 hours of me doing the event, I want a link from your website to my website. I want a do follow link. And a lot of the time, if you say that to the charity, they go, I don't know how to do that. And you say, well, let me speak to your tech team, because they will have a tech team, they'll have a website team, they'll have a team that operate their website for them. It's not a difficult thing for them to do, but they will, and that's sometimes worth more than the cost of what you would get paid for a normal gig. Because if you can get 6 or 7 big charities to put links through to your website and they're all authoritative, that will massively, massively help with the SEO of your website. But you send a contract to them and you say, this is what I want. I just want a link. And in return for that link, I will come along and perform for free, and it needs to be up within 48 hours of the event taking place. And it's a very simple thing for them to do, and you've got that do follow link, and that's perfect. I've done that an awful lot. The other way that you can do it is by sending a press release. If you've got a newsworthy thing that you want to talk about, that you think the press would be interested in, and I'm talking like even local press. Local press is great, but also national press. Send a press release out, and if the press are interested in what it is that you're talking about, then, or if there's a particular newspaper that so what you do is you write a press release, right, about the thing that you're talking about. You send it out to loads of different newspapers and radio stations and so on and so forth. And if somebody contacts you and says, hey, this sounds interesting, can I talk more about this? And they publish that article, there's going to be a link through to your website in that article, which is a great way to get a link from a national radio station or a national TV station or a national newspaper station or something like that. It's what I did an awful lot in lockdown. We were working a lot with the NHS to provide virtual entertainment for people in palliative care in hospitals and in the community. And I did a series of press releases that I sent out to various different newspapers, and a few of them picked up on it and did articles with links back to Non-Stop Kids. And even though we're in lockdown, our SEO jumped through the roof at that point. You better believe that the second I get back, I'm going to be doing press releases to press about Rylan getting through to the top 5 in the semi-finals of America's Got Talent, and that will be a link through to his website, rylanpetty.com or whatever it is. So sending out press releases again is a free thing that you can do. Look into how to do press releases properly. This is not the video for that. We've got one on Netflix about how to do that, but press releases are a fantastic way to build authority up for your website. So we've talked about link building, we've talked about keyword research, we've talked about content marketing, we've talked about on-page SEO. The 5th point I want to make is outsource your SEO. Outsource your SEO. It's going to take, in order to achieve the rise up through Google, it's going to take a lot of work. It's not going to take money. It's going to take a lot of time on your part doing all of this. And that's not a problem, because in the early days, when you first set up your business, you don't have a million things to do. But as your business becomes more successful and you have gigs coming in and you have this and you have that and you have the other, and you have to go out and perform and you have to do marketing and you have to do sales and you have to do all of this stuff that you do with running your business, you have less time to do it. And the problem is, SEO is an ongoing strategy. If you stop doing it, you're going to drop down the rankings, right? So at some point, you're going to need to outsource it. At some point, this is why you should have a marketing budget. A lot of magicians, what they do is they just get paid cash, or they get paid into their bank or cash in hand or whatever it may be, and they don't have a marketing budget. They just, as a self-employed magician, you just take the money, you put it in your pocket, and you pay your bills with it or whatever, and whatever's left over, you buy magic tricks and so on and so forth. But if you seriously take your business seriously, you should have a marketing budget. You should take all of that money and put it into a business bank account and pay yourself a wage every month. And then you're going to get paid the same amount regardless of whether it's a busy or a quiet month. You pay yourself a wage every single month, and you set a marketing budget. And within that marketing budget, you're including things like SEO, and you're including things like PPC and so on and so forth. Go and do some research into some SEO companies that will run an SEO strategy for you. Find a quote. Because let's say they charge you, I mean, we pay a lot. We pay about £5,000 a month, right, for our two companies, Slightly Unusual and Non-Stop Kids. But let's say we charge, that's ridiculous. We're a national company. But let's say you only charged £1,000 a month, right? Or you paid £1,000 a month. That £1,000 that you pay will mean that they will do all of this for you and keep you ranking high, which is a much better thing than trying to do it all yourself and not doing it anywhere near as well, because it allows you then to focus on other aspects of your business. Now, I'm not suggesting you do that straight away. At the start, you do everything yourself, but then as you have more money coming in, it's much better taking that money and using it for something like this than just buying another card trick. So I would seriously suggest at some point when you become more successful, outsourcing your SEO. And people will say to me, but I've got no money. Well, I understand that, but it's a business. If you want to become a professional magician, you need to treat it like a business, and a business has operational costs. So those are the 5 things that you need to know. Very beginner basic, very bug basic, but these are the 5 things that you can do immediately within your business that hopefully will help push your SEO through the roof and get you more leads and more bookings and all of that fun stuff. So there you go, guys. That's another 5x5 in the bag. Do me a favor, let me know what you think in the comments down below. You want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Now, I'm going to be back again tomorrow at 9 o'clock with another video. I'm about to film it now, so I know it's definitely coming. And don't forget, if you want to join the Netrix, and there's a ton of information on marketing on the silver level of the Netrix, but if you want to join the Netrix, please go to www.thenetrix.com. The Discord is kicking ass, and I really want to thank Chris James for that as well. And when I come back from LA, I'll be even more invested into the Discord as well. But thank you everybody who's joined me, and I hope to see you again soon. My name's Craig from Magic TV.